May I invite our distinguished session moderator, Dr. Panneerselvam Peramaiyan, Principal Scientist, International Rice Research Institute. Let's put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome Dr. Panneerselvam Peramaiyan. May I invite our eminent panelists, Mr. Manoj Mahuli, Director Sales, Savannah Seeds Private Limited. I invite Mr. Sahin Ozkan, CEO ADAMA India. May I invite Dr. Nilanjan Sanyal, Head R&D South Asia, BASF India Limited. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are waiting for panelists to join us. So once again, a very warm welcome. I welcome you all to this pivotal session on the perspectives from ecosystem stakeholders for widespread and successful adoption of DSR. Today we stand at the cusp of a transformative era in rice cultivation. Direct seeded rice offers a beacon of hope for addressing the dual challenges of water scarcity and food security. This session is dedicated to unraveling the tapestry of stakeholder perspective that are crucial for the adoption of DSR. And ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to hand over to our session moderator, Dr. Panneerselvam Peramaiyan, Principal Secretary, International Rice Research Institute, to kindly begin the proceedings. His research focuses on nutrient management and sustainable intensification in rice and maize-based systems in South Asia. Dr. Peramaiyan leads initiatives on sustainable intensification of maize and evaluates innovative soil health management strategies using geospatial analysis. He has also coordinated projects funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, such as CSISA, the Cereal Systems Initiative for South Asia, and Soil Intelligence Systems, which promote sustainable intensification technologies and support innovation at the state and national levels in South Asia. So with those words of introduction, I hand over to our chairperson. May I remind you, sir, we have approximately 1 hour to close the session, and I would request all our panelists to have initial deliberations, addresses for about 5 to 6 minutes each, followed by question and answers. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. So good afternoon to our speakers, participants, and media persons. I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me to this event to present as well as a moderator. And first, as a presenter, I will speak, I will show few slides about DSR, what IRRI is doing in India. Then actually I will hand over to, I will just ask our speakers to speak for 5 to 6 minutes. Then end of the, after all our speakers spoken, then we will have a question and answer session. So I put DSR is a future rise for environment and socio-economic benefits. Since morning we have been talking about DSR benefits and many things. And this, these slides I'm not going to repeat, just to show that IRRI is actually validated across few states on this aspect too. And when we look at DSR, the success of DSR is actually depends on agronomy in the farmer's field. First 40 days is very important. And I want to actually emphasize here also, IRRI also started breeding the varieties for DSR. Whatever we are actually promoting now in the farmer field, the varieties actually developed for puddle transplanted condition. So actually the most important thing is that we need now varieties especially developed under DSR, and IRRI is already started doing that. At present varieties, we want to success this DSR in farmers field. First 40 days is very important. Risk reducing agronomic practices important. And first one is crop establishment. For that we need to have optimum depth of sowing as well as spacing, also weed management. And what we in IRRI, what we are doing in IRRI weed management, like one pre-emergence herbicide, 1 to 3 days after sowing, then one post-emergent herbicide at 3 to 4 leaf stage at 15 to 20 days after sowing. And also we are not actually promoting DSR everywhere. DSR is, it's a blanket, going with the blanket application is not good because DSR won't go everywhere. We need to have suitability mapping based on different soil, soil type and land type, rainfall pattern, everything. So we are also working on that. And also DSR, if we want to really succeed, then we need to go with machine sowing, not broadcasting. Machine sowing, individual farmers cannot have seed drill. So for that also IRRI is actually developing service economy, that is a service provision model, because that is actually sustainable to cover the large area. So one of the method I put it here already. Dr. A.K. Singh morning mentioned about this one. I am showing the picture to understand. Maybe some people may not see what is this. Just pre-sowing irrigation, then tillage, then sowing. Then we can see the crop. It's a really good crop. But one of the advantage of this also, we can actually delay first irrigation up to 21 days because we are sowing in the soil moisture condition. And based on the 6 farmers field evaluation in 6 districts in Odisha, and we can say actually Odisha and Chhattisgarh is a really easy to transform from view-sending type to drill DSR. It's a low hanging fruits. And we are actually promoting this drill DSR in Odisha, even with Odisha government supported funding also. And we also published around 3 papers recently, and one of the papers I am showing here, around 1 ton yield benefit we can get, and also income also increase due to cost reduction, also labor saving. And we can also see here when DSR, when we go to convert into DSR, the crop duration in the same variety, crop duration is reduced. Dr. Singh also morning mentioned about that. I am showing the varieties, each variety under DSR and PTR, and we can see that around 8 to 15 days saving. So why this saving, what way it is going to help? It is in the succeeding crop. Because soil moisture residue we can keep so that cropping intensity can be increased. In case of pulses, we can timely sowing of pulses, we can increase the cropping intensity and also yield. And also one more thing, actually soil structure. We can see here, in case of PTR, how this, after harvesting, how the field is looks. But in case of DSR, we can see. So soil moisture is conserved, and we can easily go with, direct sowing, by direct sowing of pulses or other crops through machine easily. And in case of the PTR, it's very difficult because already soil moisture is evaporated. And this also one of the panelists morning mentioned about IRRI also, about rice wheat system, what we are doing in UP and Bihar. And you can see here, when we go with DSR followed by zero tillage wheat or conventional wheat, we can actually bring wheat sowing earlier. How it is very, actually wheat sowing earlier or timely sowing of wheat is very important, because when you sow wheat beyond 20th November, each day, one day if you delay, 50 kg wheat yield reduced. But in that case, you just say that 10 days we are actually delaying, then we actually 500 kg almost, the yield is reduced. Just a simple one intervention, we can actually improve the rice wheat system, productivity. And I actually, based on our work, and I'm just showing here how it is actually, yield is reduced in case of PTR compared to DSR. And yeah, this is also, I want just to mention, this is the last slide. I want to mention that DSR actually benefit is different in different ecology. In Punjab, benefit is different compared to Eastern UP, or compared to Bihar, or Odisha, or South India. So, what benefits are there, and also challenges is there, and let's work together. Thank you. So with this, actually, I am asking one of our speaker, Mr. Manoj Mahuli, Director Sales, Savannah Seeds Private Limited, to speak.
Good afternoon, everybody. Respected chair and fellow panelists and respected guests. It's really my pleasure, to be representing an organization. I'm talking more from the point of view of our parent organization, which is RiceTech. I'm very happy to be representing that organization, which has been one of the pioneers in the world of DSR. In fact, we were the first one to introduce herbicide tolerant rice in the US. Today, although US has got very minuscule rice acres compared to India, but we are the market leaders in the US in this field. So I guess in terms of experience, collectively we have huge, more than 2 decades of experience in the field of DSR. When it comes to DSR, we all know, we have been hearing since morning the challenges of the transplanted rice and why DSR is necessary. We all know DSR is going to be a game changer. But let's not forget the fact that it's a game changer, but it also comes with a challenge because it's a practice change. And we all know practice change is not all that easy and simple to do, and especially when it comes to the farmers. When we are talking of a practice change, I would like to speak on a few pillars which are very, very critical for this conversion to happen. The first one is the genetics. When we talk of the genetics, we have been hearing that most of the breeding which has happened in the country so far has been for transplanted rice. So we need genetics which suits DSR, which means it has to be capable of taking even higher populations, better nitrogen utilization, shorter duration, better water utilization. So we need to have that kind of a genetics. And when it comes to higher populations, it is important that the genetics which we talk of have the plant architecture, which is more erect type of plant architecture, so that it suits higher population also. With those few requirements which are there, apart from the things which have been mentioned in the morning, I'm very happy to share that in the world of hybrid rice, Savannah was the first to introduce smart rice, which has got all these features which I have been talking of. One is genetics, which we have already been addressing. The second part is the agronomy part. We all know when it comes to DSR, it's not like a normal transplanted rice where the nursery is grown on a small piece of land, and the plant care establishment is all very well taken care in that small piece of land, and it's very easy. But when the same seed goes in a large field, the challenges are totally different. So the temperature is very high, there is monsoon to arrive, and then there are pests, diseases, So there are huge challenges when it goes to the larger field. So that actually throws the challenge of the initial germination, initial establishment. So when there is poor germination and poor establishment, that directly impacts the yield. So we as an organization, we have been working in the US also and in the country on a seed treatment recipe. We have heard speakers in the morning talking about seed treatment. We have already worked on the seed treatment recipes, and we customize our recipes to suit specific geographies. So in the country also, when we are working on this particular concept, we are simultaneously working on seed treatment, and we have a brand name called Squad, on which through which we are going to have the seed treatment also provided to the farmers. Now, there have been subsidies given by the governments. Punjab has been giving 1,500, Haryana has been giving 4,000 rupees. And despite all this, the farmers, they did try DSR, but there have been a lot of farmers who have gone back to transplanted rice. And the main reason for the farmers going back to the transplanted rice is the yield penalty that he has been facing. And the yield penalty also comes because of the challenge of weed control. And weed control, despite so many herbicides being available, the farmer has to take up at least 2 to 3 sprays, different kind of sprays. And despite that, many farmers will have to resort to the manual spraying, manual weeding also. So weed control is an important aspect that we need to be ensuring the farmer. And herbicide tolerant rice is the answer. And I would like to, I'm very happy to share here that we are one of the pioneers in the world of DSR through the herbicide technology, herbicide tolerant technology that we have. And the name of the herbicide tolerant technology is Full Page. And this particular technology has been in the use for more than 1.5 decades in the US. And we have been conducting these demonstrations in the country also. And as in the morning Ajay shared, we are almost very, very close to commercial registrations and approvals, so that we are very close to providing these improved seeds, herbicide tolerant hybrids to the farmers. So the agronomy part is taken care. We address the treatment, and we address the weed control also. The next big challenge that we see is mechanization. So when we look at the mechanization, there are two things which are very, very critical for DSR. One is laser leveler, and the second one is seed drill. Most of the places in the north we see laser levelers already available, but the seed drills, the sales of the seed drills actually spurt during the COVID. Got the figure, it's just an approximate figure that we got. During the COVID, the seed drill sales had gone up to about 1,500 to 1,800 or 2,000 per year. So those 2 years there was a spurt. But then, because the farmer gave up DSR because of the yield penalty, he resorted back to transplanting. The sales, dropped down to almost 50%. So the seed drill availability is going to be critical. I was just doing a small math in the morning about 110 million acres of rice, and if we leave out the other methods of DSR in the country, if we assume that about 25% of this 110 million goes to this new method of DSR, what we are talking of, there will be a requirement of the huge number of machines that we need. A machine, unfortunately, can do max about 7 to 8 acres per day, and the active days which are available for the machine is about 20 days. So if we assume 7 to 8 acres per day at 20 days window available, there is something like close to 2 lakh machines which are required. And today, there are just about few thousand. It's just the figure is about, in 4 figures. So there are so few machines available. So obviously, one is there is a huge scope for the machine manufacturers to provide machines. But if we look at the other challenge, not everybody would be able to afford that, because the machine costs anywhere in the range of about 1 to 1.5 lakh rupees. So the other model which actually should be working is on hiring the machines. There are a lot of custom hiring centers which in some states people have tried, but then again the hiring model has to be there maybe on the model of Ubers and Olas of agriculture. And I was just doing a small math. If somebody wanted to do this as a business of hiring the machines, a machine would break even in just 2 years' time. Assuming just 20 days working time available, the machine would break even the investment would break even in 2 years' time. So that is a kind of infrastructure and the ecosystem what is required for developing DSR also. The last and the other thing that I would like to touch upon is, we have been hearing about the carbon in the morning. I call these as the peripherals or the add-ons. add-ons appears a better word because that is an add-on income. Somebody was rightly mentioning that the credit can be about 1 to 1.5 per acre, which is about $40 an acre. So that is an add-on income. But that doesn't come so easily. There is a huge ecosystem also required for that. The registration process for the carbon itself is huge. There are a lot of data to be collected, the registration of the field, the geotagging, the satellite mapping, the whole thing calls for a huge investment in terms of the carbon mapping also. But yes, that is another ecosystem requirement, and happy that we are happy to share that we are working on that front also. The other small piece which I would like to touch upon is we all know that DSR reduces the water requirement. So DSR alone, they say that about 25 to 30% of water saving is there. To produce 1 kilo of rice, they say that something like 3 to 4,000 liters of water is required. Now we can imagine, how much of water, fresh water is being consumed for growing rice. So at this rate, it could be, totally unsustainable. So one is just by going with the DSR method, we are going to reduce by about 30% water consumption on rice. But then there is a need to work on some other more efficient water or irrigation systems. So apart from just converting to DSR, we need to be working on that also. So to summarize, few things which are required as an ecosystem is, one is the genetics, second one is the agronomy in terms of seed treatment and the herbicide tolerance, the third one is mechanization, and the last one is the add-ons, which is, which is the peripherals, which are add-on income for the farmer. So if we address all these pillars, I am sure the farmer is going to adopt, because DSR is not new. So what is going to be new? The new is going to be making it work. And there are, the stakeholders sitting in this room, who are coming from all these different industries. If we all work together, I'm sure, India, which has got one of the largest rice acres in the world, we will make it successful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So next, I will request Mr. Sahin, Head Global Product Development, ADAMA India.
Good afternoon, all of you. Yeah, actually, many things already said since the morning session. Really, I tried to take a note. Also, you already mentioned, one kilo rice production needs for around 4 tons water. Yeah, it is too much. So the water is one of the strategic key element for the production, and then time to time we are suffering a lot because of the water source. Even look at the benefits of the DSR, a lot of benefits for the farmers, growers, even the ecosystem. Dr. A.K. Singh mentioned during his speech, DSR gives 35% less greenhouse gas emission. This is really important and a very good number. So even increasing the yield when we go to DSR option. Mr. Ajay mentioned in the morning session the yield, comparing to the neighborhood countries, Vietnam 5.5 tons per hectare, in China 7 metric tons per hectare, in India is 4.2, 4.3 range, even increased. It was lower than 4. Even it is one of the tools that will support the increasing the yield. As my company perspective, especially I am taking more important the supporting to the ecosystem and the sustainability, because locally and globally as a ADAMA we are always focusing on sustainability approach, because this is very important for the future of the generations. That's why I think okay, as of today it is 10% of the total area. We assume we are calculating DSR farming, but definitely it will be shifting to more for the future. It is one of the future of trends. That's why we're expecting develop more herbicide tolerant seeds and supply, of course, to the market, to the farmers. And then this is, as I said, very much matching to our approach to the system, to the market. And then, of course, we are already investing globally in US and Latin Americas, even in India. We are working on some projects because we want to be a part of this new approach, DSR approach. And then we already started to work on the also product stewardship development. This is one of the key tool, and will be supporting to the farmers system for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sahin, for timely completion. Now I request Dr. Nilanjan, Head R&D South Asia, BASF.
Nilanjan, sir. Okay. Wait, the slide changer? This one? Okay. Thank you. So very good afternoon and warm greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Myself, Nilanjan Sanyal, responsible for R&D in BASF South Asia. Before I get into the content, I would like to take just one moment to introduce my colleagues who are joining with me. We have Shiba Prakash. Shiba is responsible for seed and trade for BASF. I also have with me Yuvraj. Yuvraj takes care of advocacy on behalf of BASF. Yeah. So this is our, okay. So this is our global commitment around this climate neutrality. Yeah. It is a publicly announced commitment. And this commitment says by 2030, we'll reduce 25% of greenhouse gas emission and we'll bring it to zero by 2050. Yeah. So when it comes to DSR, we all talked about the advantage in terms of greenhouse gas emission. So doing everything possible for DSR, it get well synced with our purpose. Yeah. So I would like to assure on behalf of BASF that we'll stay committed to do everything we can do for DSR. Okay, so sir, please don't get me on the numbers. I am using this, whatever I get from ED source, but more than number, it is trend. Yeah, only 20 to 28% is DSR. And it says we have a lot of opportunity to do this. And then if we really want to shift the needle, we discussed since morning, we need an integrated approach, we need an inclusive approach, we need a complementing approach between all stakeholders in the value chain, and that's what we extend our sincere thanks to FSII for bringing us together here for this discussion. Okay, so global innovations are shrinking, yeah? It is shrinking every year. So at the one hand, and on the other hand, more and more weeds developing tolerant to existing mode of actions. And again, when you go to DSR, we all spoke in morning session that weed management becomes one of the critical constraint, yeah, for adoption. And then how to address this weed management. And it brings me to my next slide, which is herbicide tolerant. Already many industry colleagues already have spoken about this. Dr. A.K. Singh already have spoken about this. It is herbicide tolerant, and when it's come to herbicide tolerant, BASF is one of the world leader in herbicide tolerant technology. And this shows, the global presence of BASF with various technologies we have, but this is mainly on Clearfield and Provicia, which is specific to rice. By 2018, almost 14 million of hectare globally were shown with BASF trait seeds across 8 different segments. Of course, rice is the major contributor. Okay. So Clearfield and Provicia, yeah, what exactly the Clearfield is and what exactly the Provicia is. Clearfield is technology which is tolerant to imidazolinone group of herbicides. And when it comes to Provicia, this is tolerant to SCCS groups. Yeah, Dr. Ramanathan mentioned this morning all FOP chemistries, DEAM chemistries, which are mainly specialty for grass control. Yeah. So what these technologies brings on the table? So when it comes to DSR, when it comes to Clearfield, it is very broad spectrum. Yeah. So no matter which weed you have in field, be it grass, be it broadleaf, be it sage, Clearfield takes care of each and every type of weeds. But when it comes to Provicia, it is a grass specialty. And then when we discuss about this technology, always so we get one question. When you have Clearfield, which is already a broad spectrum, then why do you need Provicia? Because again, it's only grass. But again, we discussed this morning, Tikedas also mentioned, when there will be more and more adoption of DSR, weedy rice will follow. Yeah, and then Provicia is very effective on weedy rice. Yeah, that is one thing. And second thing is again sustainability. Yeah, so you need several technologies as rotation to manage the resistance, because like any other technology, one side it brings many advantages on the table, it also brings some challenges and constraints. Yeah. Going ahead, need not to go into the data, but you can focus on the pictures. This type of comprehensive weed control you can expect when you use this technology, be it Clearfield or be it Provicia, even in DSR system, which we believe that help a lot when it comes to adoption of DSR along with other technologies as well. Yeah. What is important to mention here, you must be knowing that when it comes to imidazolinone chemistry, BASF is the inventor of imidazolinone chemistry. It is basically American cyanamide, which is also part of BASF now. And then that's what we have the internal expertise. We have almost 5 to 6 active ingredients, even in imidazolinone chemistry. And then we believe not a single AI in this group can take care of the need of DSR. But because when it comes to DSR, 44 million hectare of rice is not a single crop, right? You go to south, you get wet DSR, the need is different. You come to Punjab, it is dry DSR, the need is different. So to cater all the segment of the customer, you need differentiated approach. So that's what we are bringing chemistries, which will be a combinations of various imidazolinone chemistries. Again, this is my last slide. It says about stewardship. Earlier panelists also mentioned about this point, stewardship and sustainability. This is very important for HT technology. In BSF, we don't believe that HT technology is only the tolerant trait in isolation. That is, of course, number one. Number two is you need to integrate this trait in a high-yielding variety. Because at the end of the day, everything is for higher yield, right? And third is tailor-made herbicide that can cater the need of the customer. And then fourth is stewardship. If the stewardship is not followed, probably there will be issue in sustainability. And any technology which is not sustainable brings probably relatively lesser value to customer. Yeah. So that's what from my side. Any question probably we can take once the panel discussion is over.
Thank you, sir. So next, I would like to invite Mr. Ravindra Kumar Agrawal, Chairman, KisanKraft Limited.
Hello. There is a lot of overlap, which is good, in my opinion, that people are facing similar issues, so hopefully they can be resolved soon. So I'll skip over some of the issues that I was going to talk about. KisanKraft has been focused since its inception in 2005 only on small farmer mechanization. We are the largest company in India for our portfolio of machinery. And in 2017, we started seeds R&D. And in fact, our seeds R&D head, Dr. Holla, is right there, a young fellow, less than 35 years old, and is leading our 30 scientist team. I'll start with mechanization because many people have talked about that. And these are just sample pictures. These are small machineries which can be used for multiple operations. We'll begin with, for example, sowing. So you can see a very small seed drill. I think it costs less than 15,000 rupees, and can be connected to any of those small intercultivators. There is a manual seed drill also, you can see, and we use them ourselves. So it is not something that we just sell. In our R&D plots and in our field trial plots, we use them. It works very well. Extremely inexpensive, very suitable for small farmers, and it goes a long way, especially for DSR. So sowing is taken care of. Before that, land preparation is done by the same tillers. And then crop management, again, here we have machines, for example, for sprayers. There is a small blob that you see in the bottom left corner was actually designed by our R&D team, because they needed something very small, the spacing being about 20 centimeters row gap, and they needed a small thing, and they basically designed it, and it attaches to the brush cutter, which is in the middle, and it does a fantastic job of uprooting and mulching back the weeds. And again, since coming from the real usage, it's very effective, and it's quite popular among our farmers. Next would be reapers, again focusing on small farmers. On the top left corner that you can see is a small reaper. I think we sell it for about 1.5 lakh rupees. I don't remember the price, I don't sell. So very, very popular, does 4-row harvesting at the same time. And this machine, for example, our farmers rent out themselves. I have maybe more than 50 lakh farmers who are my customers, maybe 1 crore. And I can say very confidently that more than 5% of my farmers rent out their machines. Nothing to do with CHS, which has had a lot of failures, CHCs, and instead of government intervening in that space, they should look at that combine harvesters in India have been primarily operating on the hiring model without a single cent from subsidies by the government. And we need to essentially lower other costs that farmers pay in terms of, for example, GST rates, or there are many other things that can be discussed offline to improve mechanization, and farmers should be incentivized to rent out themselves, because there is a lot of logistics issues. In this machine that you'll see on the right-hand side, on the top-hand side, is actually a residue management device. It basically would take the stubbles, cuts them, and cultivates back, mulches back to the soil. Very small, very simple, and works very well. Then there are other machines which are basically for post-harvest processing, which I will not bore you with. The whole idea is that small farmers, we focus on small farmers, and there are plenty of affordable machines which are there. And a lot of these machines we make ourselves, we make parts ourselves, and we source a lot of parts within India, and our factories in Nellore, Andhra Pradesh. Going further, our R&D has been focused on exclusively DSR from scratch. That's an important point I want to bring up, that many of the efforts which are going in quote-unquote DSR, they are taking the wetland varieties and putting them in DSR. And as any agronomist will tell you, is that you take a variety, let's say Langda Aam from West Bengal, and you try to grow in Karnataka, it ain't gonna work. Okay, so similarly, since the Green Revolution, most of the development of seeds has been for wetland condition. It is very, very important, and that policymakers and the businesses, all the stakeholders, promote only the seeds which have been developed for DSR condition as a DSR variety. Otherwise, essentially the whole thing fails. And like we have had many people talk about that the farmers went back to wetland cultivation method, primarily because they had the wrong seed. Okay, there is certainly an issue about farmers responding to the germination or establishment time. The thing is that they forget that the seed takes 15 days to establish, and there was something they were seeing in a small space, and then when they transplant this, they have a seedling which is standing, let's say 6 inches to 9 inches tall, and they panic. And that's a mindset issue that has to be managed, and the only way, in my opinion, that can be managed is that government should allow model farming to be done by private businesses. Otherwise, it will not work. Farmers will not accept any amount of lectures, any amount of TV coverage. They need to see it. And model farming needs to be allowed by the businesses. For that, there are many legislation changes required in terms of land holding, in terms of allowing businesses to cultivate. So that is another policy issue that has to be carried on. And then when we go to this next stage, weed management, like I showed, that there are mechanical devices which are very affordable and can be done. We are not against weedicide usage, but you will nonetheless still need mechanical intervention, and there are plenty of machines like I've shown. Soil health management is very important, specifically when it comes to iron and zinc deficiency. We have noticed both iron and zinc. I know that previous speakers have talked about iron deficiencies. And nematode and termites also have been seen, termites especially for land which has been fallow for some time. And nematode, we have been very successful in managing using biological controls, mixed with cow dung, and then incorporating that in the soil. And we did not need to use any chemical, and I'm talking about around 11, 12 states, lots and lots of land. And it can be managed, but basically make sure before when you go into the field, just pick the weeds, see the roots, you can see the galls. And then bingo, very, very simple to manage. Very inexpensive also. It's rarely that you'll go to the critical damage condition and apply chemicals. If you do it right from beginning, again, model farms will help. Next is that we need to promote a data-driven approach. A lot of people have talked about different data points with different understanding of what DSR is and what DSR is not, and various agroclimatic zones. There was a lady who was asking about the DSR thing. It is very important that we say that, okay, as this particular variety has been developed for these agroclimatic zones, and you don't put that same seed in the agroclimatic zone where it is not proven. You do that, you're going to fail, and then the whole technology fails. So it's very important. Package of practices will have to be developed for different regions. And again, as seen industry people especially, and including institutions, need to be very cognizant of that. A lot of people have talked about carbon credits. I would only say this, that government needs to facilitate development of platform. There are NGOs which are working very sincerely, but the credibility when it comes to financing from, let's say, FAO or other bodies, to fund the credits, it has to be government involvement. I remember that one IS officer from Indore was the first person in India to get carbon credits monetized for recycling of waste. So it can be done, but government will have to be involved in measurements, in documenting, and authentications. Incentivizing the farmers is very, very going to be important. I am not a pro-subsidy person, but to get the farmers going, you need to incentivize, maybe by, let's say, ensuring that the prices for treated seeds is something that becomes affordable, because many of the treatments, for example, we were talking about iron treatment, is expensive. It is not cheap. So if that can be subsidized, that will be good, especially then for mechanization as well. Last but not the least, I would say that seed licensing in India is extremely difficult. Many states require seed trials to be done in every district. Almost every state requires multi-location trials to be done in their state, which is not very scientific. If a particular seed has been proven in agroclimatic zone, we should be allowed to sell that for that agroclimatic zone across the country. That will improve the adaptation rates. So I guess I should throw in one. My beef is that NBA still asserts its regulatory powers over food crops, which is incorrect in our view, because BD Act specifically exempts food crops from this food crop breeding research. And why NBA still asserts is, I don't understand. And it has resulted in us, for example, 1.5 years delay in getting approvals, which to me doesn't make sense, especially when it's by law, it is not supposed to be there. With that, I'll end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now invite our last speaker, Mr. Avinash Kumar, Chairman, Anuj Kisan Producer Company.
थैंक यू सर. सभी किसान मित्रों को राम राम. हमारा बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। इसके जो मुख्य आयोजक हैं फेडरेशन ऑफ सीड इंडस्ट्री ऑफ इंडिया, जो एक सभी किसान मित्रों को एक उसमें जोड़ लिया है। बेसिकली जो हमारा है, हम किसान ही हैं, एज ए किसान आए हैं और किसान है और किसानों का हमारा एक समूह है। उसके चेयरमैन है अनुज किसान प्रोड्यूसर कंपनी लिमिटेड। हमारा ज़िला जो है वो रायबरेली है। इस बार हमने कहीं ना कहीं यहाँ से जो चर्चा होती है वो जाके सबसे ज़्यादा चैलेंज यही रहता है कि यहाँ से जाए और फील्ड पे कितने ताकत के साथ काम हो जाएगा तो फिर DSR सक्सेस। हम 2021 से इसमें आए, उसके पहले हमारे ज़िले में होता था ऐसा। और हमने जब इस बार अब की बार पता किया तो हमारे आजा बाबा ने बताया कि ये परंपरागत खेती पहले होती ही थी, ये कुछ जिसके कारण रहे होंगे या फिर नई टेक्नोलॉजी आ गई, इसके वजह से हुआ। फिर 2021 में एक ड्रम सीडर्स की उपयोगिता करके थोड़ा सा किया गया। पिछली बार एक हमारे यहाँ पे साथ में आए हुए या फिर हमें लेके आए हुए हैं डॉक्टर अंजलि मैम हैं, वर्ल्ड बैंक से, कोरटेवा से मलिक जी हैं और कृषि विज्ञान केंद्र से डॉक्टर कनौजिया जी हैं। हमने FPO बनाया, हम किसानों का ग्रुप बनाए गांव में। तो हमारे यहाँ पे सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत गर्मी के सीजन, चूँकि इतनी गर्मी होती है उस समय कि कूलर पंखे तक नहीं चलते, और समरसेबल से इतनी ज़्यादा दिक्कत। पानी की हमारे यहाँ कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, वो ठीक है। आप लोग अपने जितने भी हमारे मंच पे हैं सब लोग कंपनी से, कोई उस पर ग्लोबल, उस पर कोई वातावरण पे, सब जगहों से आए हुए हैं। हमारे यहाँ पे सही नदी गुजरी हुई हमारे गांव से, हमारे पूरे रायबरेली ज़िले से। पानी की कोई कमी नहीं, पानी भी 30-40 फीट पे है। लेकिन हुआ क्या कि सबसे ज़्यादा जब ये टेक्नोलॉजी बताई जा रही थी, कुछ कंपनीज के लोग, कुछ उससे जुड़े हुए लोग आए, उन्होंने बताया कि ये इससे पानी कम होगा, आगे का जो भविष्य है वो सुधरेगा। लेकिन उसमें सबसे मेन बात समझ में आई कि जो किसान का है उसमें बचत क्या होगी। क्योंकि हम लोग क्या सोचते हैं कि ठीक है वो आप आगे काम चल रहा है या फिर उतनी नॉलेज होगी तो हम उसके बारे में सोचेंगे। लेकिन उसमें सबसे अच्छी बात यही निकली कि हमारी उसमें लागत कम आ जाएगी और धान उतना ही पैदा हो जाएगा। हमने कहा ठीक है चलो ये भी देख लिया जाएगा। उसका पूरा स्टडी उनका सुना हमने, सारी चीज़ें की, और वहाँ से हमें किट वगैरह मिली। हम 1 से 2 बीघे में सिर्फ शुरुआत किए थे कि इतना सुन के चारों तरफ से जो जुड़े हुए व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप से जो पहुँचा मैसेज, कम से कम 200 से 300 बीघे पिछली बार एक बार में ही हमारे ज़िले में किया गया। और हमने खुद जो है 1-2 खेतों में ऐसी मॉनिटरिंग की कि उसका रिजल्ट जो है हम आगे तक रख पाएंगे, जिससे वो प्रमोट हो सके, क्योंकि चीज़ अच्छी थी। सबसे खास बात ये हुई कि जिन खेतों में पानी 1 से 2 घंटे लगता था, अभी जो इसमें के साइंटिस्ट या वैज्ञानिक लोग उन्होंने बताया कि 20 से 25% तक पानी की बचत होती। हम अगर अपने घंटों के हिसाब से अपने खेत में बता दें कि जिस खेत में 8 से 10 घंटे पानी लगता था पहले, चूँकि वो पानी की भराई होगी, फिर जुताई होगी, और इसलिए उसको पानी भरा जाता था कि वो चूँकि खरपतवार नियंत्रण हो सके, उसका काम हो सके, वही एक मेन था। उस पर मान के चलिए कि वही मल्टी क्रॉप सीडर की उपलब्धता हुई, उससे हमने बुआई करा दी। और दूसरे दिन ये बताया गया था कि उसके तुरंत बाद पिंडामिथलिन का छिड़काव करवाइए और थोड़े 2-4 घंटे का आप डिस्टेंस दीजिए, और उसके बाद जो है पानी का ये कर दीजिए हल्का पानी। हल्का पानी मान के 1 से 1.5 घंटे में, जिसमें 8 घंटे पानी भर के ट्रैक्टर चलता था, उसमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ 1.5 से 2 घंटे में पानी भर दिया गया और उसको छोड़ दिया गया। फिर ऊपर वाले की कृपा हुई, हल्की फुल्की बारिश हुई, किसी तरह वो चला। अगर हम माने कि जितना जो है पूरा सीजन में समरसेबल से लगाया गया, हम तो मानते कि 50%। हमारे जो पिताजी है उन्होंने कहा कि जितना पिछली बार पानी का किराया दिया गया था उससे आधा ही इस बार किराया दिया गया है। आप लोगों के हिसाब से ठीक है 25%, लेकिन कुछ बारिश का भी था उसमें। सबसे ज़्यादा जो फायदा हुआ हम लोगों का, प्रोडक्शन में कोई भी कमी नहीं आई उसमें, चाहे वो बीज अच्छा मिल गया रहा होगा या फिर जो भी है। लेकिन कई प्रकार के 200 से 250, चूँकि हमारे किसानों का समूह है तो हम लोगों ने जुड़ के पूरा काउंट किया गया था। 200 से 250 बीघे के आसपास हम लोगों ने काउंट किया था। पूरे ज़िले में तो बहुत हुआ था, लेकिन हमारा जो ग्रुप था उसमें पूरा काउंट किया गया था। 200 से 250 बीघे में किया गया। उस पर आगे लेबर, चूँकि लेबर पे हर जगह, अभी थोड़ी देर पहले कोई डॉक्टर साहब कह रहे थे कि यहाँ पे इतनी दिक्कत है कि ट्रेन से लेबर मंगाए जाते हैं। फिर वो हमारे यहाँ वैसा ही है, हम भले वो लेबर सप्लाई एरिया कुछ कहे जाते हैं या फिर प्रदेश ही कहा जाता है कि चलो वहाँ पे लेबर सप्लाई, दिक्कत हमारे सबके भी वहाँ है। पहले क्या था कि सबसे मेजर दिक्कत, आप बुला लीजिए उनको 200-300 रुपये में मिल जाते थे। अब तो ये चल रहा है फिर उनके लिए समोसे की आप व्यवस्था करिए, चाय की, तो आपके यहाँ धान लगाने आएंगे। उससे छुट्टी हो गया था। 200 से 250 लोगों का जो हमारा ग्रुप था, हम लोग धान बो के और आराम कर रहे थे। उस समय जो नर्सरी करके लगा रहे थे वो लोग परेशान थे, लेबर कहाँ मिलेगा, पानी कहाँ मिलेगा, ऊपर से प्रशासन को फोन की लाइट की व्यवस्था ठीक से नहीं हो रही। बहुत सारी मचमच के बावजूद हम लोग इससे फ्री हो गए थे कि ये टेक्नोलॉजी से एक चीज से झंझट से दूर है कि हम जो है एकदम फ्री हो गए। वो एक माइंड सेटअप हुआ। और दूसरी उसके बाद बिजली की समस्या तो एकदम दूर ही हो गई थी। सबसे बढ़िया ये हुआ, लागत आधी आ गई थी, कह लीजिए कि चूंकि पानी की लागत सबसे ज़्यादा होती है, बाकी जो फर्टिलाइज़र या फिर जो जिसको कई बार होता है गांव में अपने हिसाब से लोग डालते हैं, और अपने हिसाब से डालने के वजह से जो जितना पैदावार किसी को कोई बता दिया जाता है कि आप ये बीज ले जाएंगे उसमें थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा डालिए तो ज़्यादा पैदा होगा। चैलेंजेस आए थे, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है, हमारे सामने खुद आया था। स्थिति ये आ गई थी कि जो हम पूरी मॉनिटरिंग कर रहे थे, चूँकि किसानों के समूह का एक अध्यक्ष चुने गए थे तो ठीक है पूरी देख रेख हमारे उसमें हो रही थी। सबसे ज़्यादा दिक्कत आ गई थी चूँकि शुरुआत में बो तो दिया गया और सबका मत ये था कि ये जो शुरुआत के, अभी सब लोगों ने सर ने बताया कि जो शुरुआत के 15 से लेकर 35 दिन तक है उसमें इतना संभलना होता है कि अगर उस समय किसान को, अब चाहे यहाँ से जो चर्चाएं होती है इनमें से सपोर्ट इतना जाना चाहिए, अगर शुरुआत के हमें लग रहा है कि 35 से 40 दिन तक अगर सपोर्ट दे दिया गया, जितनी भी सीड कंपनी है या फिर जो लोग इस पे काम कर रहे हैं DSR पे, अगर शुरुआत का सपोर्ट दिया गया तो फिर फार्मर इतना तो कर ही लेता है कि हमारा अगर पौधा अच्छा है तो फसल अच्छी आएगी ही, उस पर उतना कर लेता है। शुरुआत का सपोर्ट इतना अच्छा था, सब लोगों की टीम से होता गया, वैज्ञानिकों का सपोर्ट मिलता गया कि नहीं ठीक है जो चल रहा है शुरुआत में सब ऐसा ही होता है। नहीं तो स्थिति ये थी कि हमारे घर वालों की, मैं अपनी खुद की बात बता रहा हूँ, पिताजी ने कहा एक काम करो इसको जुतवा दो और इसमें वाला काम करवा दो, कुछ होगा नहीं जो तुम DSR कर रहे हो। हमने कहा पता नहीं, वहाँ ऊपर से तो ये आ रहा है कि आप DSR को इसको करिए और अच्छी चीज़ है, आगे का सारा कुछ है और मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा ये होगा, बहुत ये करके किया गया था। खैर थमे हम, लेकिन 40 दिन बाद जो रिजल्ट आया वो ऐसा रिजल्ट आया कि मैं एक गाँव से ये करता हूँ, आज इस मंच पे हूँ, जाहिर सी बात है हम यहाँ तक पहुँचे हैं। वहाँ पे हमारे यहाँ खेत में जहाँ पे 4 पहिया ठीक से नहीं जाती, 4 व्हीलर सर ठीक से नहीं जाती है, वहाँ पे वर्ल्ड बैंक के ग्लोबल मैनेजर है माइक वेबस्टर जी, वो किसी तरह अरेंज हुआ, वो आई, उनकी पूरी टीम, यहाँ से भी सर लोग थे, कम से कम 4 इनोवा गांव तक गई तो लोग देखे कि ये कौन सी खेती की जा रही, तो यहाँ पे देखने आ रहे हैं। हमने कहा कुछ नहीं, वही धान है, सिर्फ DSR से किया जा रहा है। मतलब ये सबसे बड़ी, वहाँ पे फिर डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट काफ़ी ज़्यादा प्रमोट हुआ। जब इतने लोग आ गए तो हमने कहा अब ये चीज़ ज़रूरी, फिर हमने पूरा जो 250 से 300 बीघे था उसका फिर हमारा काम बढ़ गया कि हमने कहा कुछ तो अच्छा हो गया है, लगता है ना करते करते कुछ तो अच्छा हुआ है। उसमें सीड कंपनियों का बहुत बड़ा सहयोग रहता है। पेस्टिसाइड अगर उस समय सही कंपनियों का मिल गया तो अच्छा है, चूँकि कंपनी सबकी अच्छी है, लेकिन जो जिस समय अच्छा काम कर जाए। उसके बाद जो है वहाँ पे पूरी टीम आई, पूरा कार्यक्रम हमने करवाया और पूरी टीम जो है 1 से 2 घंटे सर हमारे खेत में, जी पूरी टीम जो है वहाँ पे आई और बहुत ज़्यादा खुशी हुई। DSR को हम अब की बार, हमारा प्रोग्राम है कि लगभग हम कम से कम 1 से 2,000 एकड़ में पूरे रायबरेली ज़िले और हमारे से काम कर रहा सीतापुर जिला, इसमें करने का हमारा पूरा प्रोग्राम है। और हम सभी से भी आग्रह करेंगे कि हम लोग किसान हैं, हम स्पीकर तो चलो आज बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन हम यही चाहेंगे कि जो भी यहाँ का सपोर्ट हो वो ज़रूर, अगर ज़मीन लेवल तक कोई दे रहा है तो हम FPO भी हैं और किसान यही चाहता है कि शुरुआत के जो दिन हैं वो कृपया करके एक सपोर्ट के समय दीजिए कि कई बार किसान हमारे यहाँ पे भी उसको पलटाई कराए हैं, उसमें हमारी कोई छुपाने की बात नहीं। उसके बाद भी हमने 250 से 300 बीघे DSR में किया है। बाकी अगर इससे और किसी को पूछना हो तो पूछ सकते हैं। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much for your experience sharing. And now I thanks my speakers to complete on time. Now actually it's open for the question. I think we need to finish by 2:30, so we only can go with a few questions. Please, anybody?
Gentleman in the back. कोई उनको माइक देगा? पीछे में सर खड़े हैं।
Ladies and gentlemen, we have only 5 minutes. We can have probably 2 to 3 questions only.
हेलो, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये किसान स्पीकर से है सबसे पहले।
जी सर।
आप मेरे को सिंपल शब्दों में ये बताइए कि सबसे बड़ी परेशानी आपको क्या महसूस कर रहे हो आप इस टाइम पे डीएसआर को और आगे बढ़ाने में किसान की तरफ से?
खरपतवार प्रबंधन का एक सरल तरीका है, एक सरल तरीका जिससे लागत भी कम आए।
Hello, Namaskar. My name is Dr. Rajiv Dwivedi. I work for Novonesis, formerly known as Novozymes. My question to Mr. Manoj, you said that there is a seed treatment which is called squat. So what really it offers? Like why you say that, okay, this is some value added product, what exactly it helps in DSR process? So can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, as I was mentioning, the initial challenge of the crop or the sowing being done on a larger field compared to a nursery. In the nursery, you can take care of the crop very well, be it nutrients, be it disease or pest control. But in the larger field, the initial establishment is a challenge. So it is important that we provide the nutrients and the protection which is required along with the seed. If it goes, with the seed, then it's there along with that in that initial phase. So the solution that we have offered, we are offering through Squad is a recipe of multiple things of the insecticide, the pesticide, the nutrient combination. So it's a combination of all these things which are very critically required by the germinating seeds.
So any more questions? We have still 3 minutes.
So, it's Dr. G. Raghunath Reddy from Agriculture University. A question to Avinash Kumar, being the farmer. What you expect from the government to make it widespread?
Sir, Hindi.
Please, someone. No, from the seed company or from the fertilizer companies or from the any service providers, you are getting some support to get it widespread in your village or your in your FAO groups. But from the government, what you expect so that the government will also think about this one to make it widespread as a farmer?
सर हम पीओ हैं, फार्मर प्रोड्यूसर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन। इस समय कोई प्रदेश सरकार पीओ या फिर किसानों के प्रति कितना काम कर रही है तो हमें नहीं पता, लेकिन हमारी उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार इस समय किसानों पे इतना मेहरबान है कि हमें लग रहा है कोई अपनी पति पत्नी पे मेहरबान नहीं होगा। हमने जो है हमारी कल ही एपीओ पे मंडल स्तरीय बैठक हुई थी सर, हमने वहाँ पे भी रखा था। गवर्नमेंट जो है एपीओ और किसानों को इतना सपोर्ट कर रही, कुछ भी अगर आप अच्छा करके जा रहे हैं। हम खुद गए थे अपना चावल लेके कि मैम हमने जो 100 रुपए से नहीं, ये 60 रुपए की लागत से चावल पैदा हुआ है। हमें खुशी हुई है कि इस चाहे सरकार में कह लीजिए या आपके जिस समय कार्यकाल आपका चल रहा है प्रशासनिक गवर्नमेंट का, उस समय ये टेक्नोलॉजी आई और हमारे ज़िले तक आई। इसके वजह से हमारी 40 रुपए की जो बचत हुई है, इसका पूरा श्रेय आप सबको जाता है। तो गवर्नमेंट से सपोर्ट जो है यही मिला कि ठीक अगर आप एक अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं तो एक अच्छे पीओ के उस पे जो है आगे जाएंगे। और हमें नसीब से इस बार राष्ट्रीय किसान दिवस के दिन 1 लाख रुपए की चेक के साथ सम्मानित किया गया था। उत्तर प्रदेश का प्रथम पुरस्कार मुझे मिला था।
Can we close the session now, sir?
Thank you everybody.
Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Let's once again put our hands together. एक बार जोरदार तालियां हो जाए. I would request everybody to kindly come together for a group photograph. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, kindly remain seated. We are straight away moving into our final concluding session of this conference.